Do you want to relax? Are you having trouble sleeping or focusing? CBD reduces anxiety, chronic pain, seizures, PTSD, depression. Try our CBD gummies or chocolates. You will be very satisfied. Visit cbdcollections.net. 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 Hi, everyone. Welcome to our monthly podcast. Today we have Stacy Ann Jarrett. She's a financial advisor with a passion of intergenerational wealth creation, simple sound finance practices. Conveyor of Practical University, she offers the space to discuss intersectionally of money management and hopes of providing financial expenses, generational wealth, and income protection as the foundation for building a stable financial plan. My co-host is Chris. So take it away, Chris.
Thanks, Janice, and welcome, Stacy Ann, to our conversation.
Thank you. I am honored to join you guys to talk about something that I really love talking about. So it's my
All right,
pleasure.
wonderful. But before we get to the details, I want to get to know you and our audience to know you a little. So tell us a little about your Jamaican roots, where you hail from, and the like.
My Jamaican roots. Well, I'm born and bred in Jamaica, never lived anywhere else. And to be very honest with you, even though I have been presented with the opportunity to do that, I'm one of those that is, boy, I need to be like a stone throw away from a nice clean beach. So
Okay.
I've not decided to brave the change in weather and seasons as opposed to just walking down the road to go to the beach.
Well, which beach are you close to, since you're that fortunate?
Well, I was
What
born
parish?
in East Kingston,
Uh-huh.
Rockfort to be exact. And whilst for a lot of people, well, it is typically what one would consider a depressed community, but there is so much in that to debunk as well. But I was
Yeah.
born and raised in Rockfort. We live on the East Coast, so on the way to Bull Bay, St. Thomas, around that side, I grew up watching surfers surf, being so close
Oh,
to the waters, having people go get fish, watching the whole community walk down to the beach on a Sunday morning, even though I wasn't a part of that. But it is home, and I must say, just this morning, I decided to take my kids out to Wikiwaki Beach, and they had such a phenomenal time. It was amazing. So I live for experiences like that, and a nice little roast fish on the seaside. Those
okay.
simple things.
That's living.
There is a trade-off,
That's
yes. Huh?
that's wealthy living in a different sort than the material, but the experience and the quality of life is so rich for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so it depends on what one considers wealth. So for me,
Right.
um, being able to get to the beach and to be able to relax and not be, that for me is a part of wealth. But there's also the other parts of it too. But yeah.
Okay. So you have a very great profession. That's when I was growing up. I've never heard about it. You're a financial advisor. You're the doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. What did you get engaged in this profession?
Well, the financial services industry has developed over the last few years, and you will see other professions coming to bear as the society grows. So yes, a financial advisor is somebody who is trained and certified to give financial advice and to help people along with certain decisions. Now, not everybody going to want the same things out of life. So a financial advisor is able to look at people's needs and their wants and their circumstances and to be able to give them guidance based on what is happening in the financial service industry for them to get to their goals. So it requires us sitting down and listening to what people want to achieve. And as I said, everybody's goals are different.
Right. So yeah, that's a pretty heavy duty profession. What what kind of training did you have to go through to get certified for this profession?
Okay, so all financial advisors are are actually certified and monitored by the Financial Services Commission. We have to do exams in ordinary life equity. They call it OLT and equity exams. Those are the two exams that really allow you to be certified as a financial advisor. Of course, there's also other training that happens during that. You are constantly in training. That's one thing, boy. We have mandatory trainings all around the year. So
Good.
it's something that we're constantly having to stay on top of. And of course, if you want to be a good advisor, you also have to do your own individual or personal training, making sure that you are keeping up to speed with what happens not only locally but internationally, because all financial markets are kind of linked and interrelated.
Right.
So we have to make sure that we stay on top of what is happening in the financial news, because our clients depend on us to pay attention to the things that are out there, that are happening out there, so that we can advise them appropriately.
Okay.
It is a lifelong relationship when you become somebody's
Exactly. When you
financial
mention people's
advisor. Huh?
when you mention people's money, it's very close to them, and so it's not a willy nilly decision they make when they choose somebody of this that
Right,
this.
right. It is a lifelong relationship. We are there when people buy homes, when
Mm-hmm.
they get sick, when their children are born. I mean, so there is a financial product or a financial decision to be made, at least at most, if not all, important life junctures. Like you have to make a decision about money, and that is
Right.
what financial advisors are there for.
Okay. You mentioned something about regulation.
Right.
The profession is regulated. Talk to us a little about the oversight board and how that operates in Jamaica.
So the Financial Services Commission is the oversight board that monitors all financial services industry companies. So insurance companies, banks, etc., are monitored by the Financial Services Commission locally. Of course, you would know that there has been, you know, they've been in the news negatively locally
Yeah,
based on
before
what
we
has
get to
been
that, let's
happening.
talk about their stuff, in general, and then we get into that specific. So they regulate all of the different financial institutions, be it the bank,
Right. So
insurance.
we're talking about the insurance companies,
Mhm.
investment and companies. They literally regulate the financial services industry.
So the regulation has to what you're limited to how you can engage with people, or that you have to they come in and they check your books. How does this regulation
So
take place?
so I am there are different types of licenses that are granted.
Hmm.
I am granted the license to sell insurance and some investment products. There are other licenses that are granted to do other things. Um, so they make sure that the persons who are in the industry have the appropriate training and are following the appropriate protocols to make sure that there is all their transactions are above board. If they find out that there are issues that are going awry, then they will also write and take certain steps to make sure that that is not happening.
Okay. All right. So the elephant in the room is the Usain Bolt story and his losses there, right?
Right, right,
Celebrity losing that kind of money will grab everybody's attention. Can
right.
you, some people may not be on the rock and haven't heard the details of it. Could you quickly summarize what happened here?
Um, this is a very ticklish subject, and I'm not even sure if I want to declare that these are my personal opinions.
Right,
They're not related or they're not representing the opinions of my employer or whatever insurance company
exactly.
I'm associated with. This is my own. So in summary, Usain would have invested, I think it was about 12 million US with
Hmm.
SSL. Um, of obviously that must have been something that was done through close friendships because of evidently you're not going to take up
Hmm.
that sort of money and put in one institution. So I can almost be sure, my and this is again is my opinion, that he may have had a friend who said, "Yo, put some money here," and he did that. So he put the money there, and apparently, um, some of the folks who were there opened a company in St. Lucia, and as he was putting monies in, they were pulling the monies out.
Mm.
It's and he was being given, based on what the news is reporting, statements that would have been giving him updates or progress on his investment. Those statements were fictitious,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, he only found out about it when somebody else sounded an alarm and they decided to check what was going on. And that's when they realized that his investments were literally depleted to from 12 million to about 2,000 US dollars.
Wow, that hurts. So,
Yeah.
given the that we have this regulatory body, how did they get around the system? Is SSL not under the scrutiny of?
Yes, they are. They are. And apparently, the Financial Services Commission had attempted or had, made it known that they were having issues there. I really can't say what exactly happened, but there in the news it has said that they did write reports about what they noted when they investigated the institution some time back, and apparently those were not taken on, and I'm not
Mm.
sure how the entity was allowed to continue operating despite being flagged, um,
Mhm.
or being highlighted as having practices that were not in good standing. But
Right, right.
yeah, it was happening.
How does that affect the integrity of the organ of the industry as a whole? What's your sense of people are taking that?
Well, people are understandably quite nervous,
Hmm.
about investing in institutions right now because of this that has happened. I'm not going to say that. Unfortunately, these are just some of the things that we have to deal with. We have to deal with it locally, we have to deal with it internationally, and it simply behoves people to be a lot more vigilant when they are investing their monies. Now, money is one of those very important energies that you have to pay attention to it. And this is something
Right.
that when I'm meeting with my clients, I try to drive home with them that if you want to really build wealth, you have to pay attention to your money. You can't just put it down and say when leave it and just until whatever. You have to follow up, you have to get information, you have to ask questions, you have to understand what it is that you're investing in. And if you do not understand what you're doing, then do not do it. It's as simple as that. Until your financial advisor or whoever, whichever professional you are speaking with can fully explain to you what you're getting yourself into, I don't encourage anybody to do it, because you have to pay attention to where your money is going. So yes, there's a lot of nervousness in the industry right now, but unfortunately, and I don't want to sound insensitive, it is just a part of the signs of the times. These things are happening all over the world, but
Right.
you cannot build wealth without investing. So it means that everyone needs to just be a lot more proactive about how and what they are doing about their investment.
Is there a is your phone been burning up and people with concerns calling you that you need? And how do you go about allaying their fears?
Well, you know what? I don't have any clients who are nervous about the financial services industry at the moment. As a matter of fact, I had somebody reach out to me yesterday wanting to invest because they understand how I operate. You have to understand the system, you have to know what you're doing. So when things like this happen, there's no need for them to panic because they would have already had their monitoring systems in place
Hmm.
to monitor what is going on. They know what avenues that they should take. So I don't have clients who are nervous, to be honest. Um, the thing about investing, and this is one thing I find in my practice so far, a lot of people want to jump on this get rich quick bandwagon. They
Hmm.
see these big numbers and they say, okay, I want to make as much money. But again, that's not a principle that money goes by. Um, it has to happen in stages and you have to be aware of what you're doing. So there are certain steps that we encourage people to take when they're looking to build wealth or to invest. The first thing is that you have to first protect yourself. And I say, just as when you're in the plane and they will tell you that if anything happens, you have to put your gas mask on first.
Hmm.
You can't be trying to save anybody else first. You have to take care of yourself first. The first step to building wealth is actually not investments. It's not, because it is known that investments are tricky. Investing is what you do after you've covered the other bases.
So
Once
you
the
mean
other bases are done, then you can look at investing.
so that you
No,
mean taking care of their daily obligations and then the leftovers? That's when they that's what's used for the investment. That's what you mean.
in some sort of way, right? So it's not necessarily daily. Well, we would assume that one needs to be able to take care of their their daily expenses before the people start investing. But we're talking about taking care of the expenses or the potential costs that could threaten your wealth. So have you ever noticed that some people, they will make money today and then they're broke tomorrow, and they make money today and then they're broke tomorrow, and
Right.
it's like this constant, you know, seesaw happening. Something happens, somebody gets sick, and you have to go and you empty out all your bank account to take care of that health issue, and then you start all over again from scratch.
Hmm. So it's a seesaw kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So what we encourage when one starts this goal of wealth building is that you have to, as I said, cover your bases first. You want to make sure you have an emergency fund, and
Hmm.
your emergency fund should be anywhere between 3 to 6 months expenses. And based on what's happening in the economy right now, I try to get my clients to push their emergency fund savings to at least 1 year. So when
Okay.
you have 1 year of your mortgage or your rent and all your other bills in an account, then we can move on to the next steps
Got you.
of investing. Because what happens is that when one is unable to pay their regular bills, when your mortgage can't pay or your rent can't pay or your electricity bill can't pay, it disturbs your whole mind. And when you're in that state of disturbance, that is when you start doing all kind of foolishness with money, when it is a time that you should actually be, you know, being
Hmm.
a lot more frugal. That's when you start using the money to placate yourself, to take care of your stresses, or you're going to take some high interest loans, or you max out your credit card.
Okay.
and and those kinds of expenses come with some extremely ridiculous interest rates that will have you paying off those debts forever and giving you, it's almost impossible. It would feel almost impossible to come back from a scenario like that. So you want to make sure that you have your emergency fund in place so
Hmm.
that you're not necessarily affected when anything sudden happens. If you lose your job, you're not totally out because you have at least 6 to 12 months of your bills paid up. Can you imagine what would happen if people had that kind of buffer?
Right. Right. Yeah, they have
So
the
that's the
peace of
first.
mind. Yeah, there's a peace of mind that goes into that, that they, under the stress of the moment, they don't have that stress because they know they have some wiggle room to be able to make sound decision as opposed to
Right. And stress can disturb you. Like you end up being desperate and taking just what is available when that probably is not the best thing for you at the moment. So your emergency fund is important. And I think people don't take that so seriously. Or when they start saving it up, they use it out on things that are not emergency. It
right,
requires discipline. So I encourage my clients to ensure that their emergency fund is saved in either a credit union or some other institution that they
hmm,
don't have access to the money so readily. Like they would have to go and stand in a line
right,
to get
right.
the money. Not something that you can either pick up a card or go on your phone and make a transfer from, because that is just temptation there. That is just,
Yeah,
hard to avoid.
you put it in a vault. You make the hurdle a little higher. That you have to think twice before you actually open
I
that
don't know
vault.
what the vault part, but yeah, you want to make sure you're not able to access it too easy, and once you have your emergency fund, now you start looking at other things that could endanger your plans. So what if you got sick, or your parents got sick, or your child got sick?
Okay.
That would definitely be cause for you to jump into emergency fund, even though that's not what it's for. So for those kinds of expenses, we encourage people to ensure that they have enough critical illness insurance coverage.
Mm,
So that is what takes care of the, oh, I did not know this would happen kind of things.
yeah.
The cancer diagnosis or the heart attacks or stuff. Things that would cause you not be
Hmm.
able to work for a minute because you have to heal yourself. So while you are unable to work, all those bills are still going to be coming, believe it or not. And even though you may have friends or family who may be willing or able to assist, we all know how that goes. They're not going to be able to assist for much long. So
And
after
live,
maybe a
yeah.
few months, you're gonna be on your own again,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
And
And
the,
that may cause your recovery process to be longer, may
right.
cause you to go into your savings. If you had investments or a home, you have to go sell, liquidate the house, liquidate your
Mm,
investments to take care of your health or your parents' health. So to avoid again such a stressful financial situation, you have to make sure you have critical illness insurance.
right.
Again, not enough people take that as seriously, and unfortunately, you're going only need critical illness insurance when you need it. Like nobody thinks about it until you go to the doctor and hear, oh boy, hey, there's some things happening here that doesn't look so well, and that's when you start scrambling. At that
Right.
point,
Right.
it's too late. You will not be able to get critical illness coverage if you have already been diagnosed with a critical condition.
Yeah, you're locked out of that thing.
You're
How's the
done.
expense for that kind of insurance? Is it relatively cheap, or how would you affordable?
No, unfortunately, health insurance is quite pricey. I'm being very honest. There are different options on the market, but they can be very expensive.
Okay.
And you have to also be able to pass a medical examination to be able to
Right.
get health insurance. If you're not healthy, you can't get it, which is which
Gee,
is which is kind of, you know, defeating the whole
catch
purpose, which
22.
is why
Yeah.
financial planning is important. So even if when you're healthy and strong and all is well, is when you need to put these things in place. Because when you are not, that's when you're going to feel the regret of not having them. And so most of my clients are women between the ages I said 24 to about 40. Most of
Mhm.
them. I find that women tend to be more open to having facilities in place that plan for their future. Unfortunately, which is good, but planning for your planning for your finances has to be something that has to be done on the jump. And this is a way also for parents to be able to engage their children in proper financial planning and proper financial practices from early,
Okay.
because you don't want them to get to a space where they don't see it as important, and then they get to 30s and they say, oh God, they start having all kind of issues, 40s come, and they don't have the things in place.
Right.
So I definitely believe in financial planning as a tool for intergenerational education and wealth building. We
Okay.
have to get to a place where we talk about money. Unfortunately, most of us, our parents, had all kinds of um, issues around money. You know, for talk about money, money this, money that, money this, and so we have to engage in actively re-educating our communities about money.
Hmm.
It's okay to talk about money. It's okay to want money. It's okay to do it in a healthy way. It's okay to plan for money. And you want to start doing that with your children so they understand positively how it works. So we don't wait until we're too old and then all kind of things happening and we're not there. And
Oh,
I
that's
can say that, uh-huh,
yeah. So that I like that discipline. That's part of the intergenerational intentionality.
right.
Talk to us a little about some of the investment instruments that you have in Jamaica. What are they local or they international? What's the flavor that you have?
So we have local and international options, yes. But it depends on what one's risk appetite is. So
Okay.
those are all the things that goes into a discussion about where somebody wants to go financially. Things
Right.
like how old you are, what are your short term, medium term, and long term goals,
Hmm.
what is your risk appetite, like, meaning if you were to invest, I won't say 12 million. But if you were, let's say, if you were to invest 12 million US now, right? And tomorrow you wake up and the whole of the money gone, how would that affect your lifestyle? How would that affect your stress levels?
Right.
I'm being cheeky here, but if if it would affect you significantly, then you don't need to be doing that. So you have to be a lot more careful about the instruments that you are investing in. But
Right.
your
So
risk appetite is going to be important to identify. The
so part
older
of
we
the
are,
education, yeah. So part of the education that you provide is like history of
right,
how well these different instruments are performed and giving people like
right. And as you can see, Chris, Stacy love chat. So I am going to be, I am extremely detailed to the T. I spend time with my clients because I want them to fully understand what they're getting themselves into. Like, you have to know. And if you don't know, I give you videos, I give you readings, because I'm not, you have to be able to make that decision as an informed decision. So the education part is, I'm really big on that one.
good, good. So yeah, you're not here trying to twist people's arm. You really
Oh
want to.
no, no,
It's
no, no,
a
no, 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 no.
lifetime. It's a partnership for a lifetime. So
Yes,
you have
yes.
to develop that kind of trust that you're giving them the best thing, even if it's a medicine to change their mindset to say, "Hey, this is you need to
Precisely.
have a more healthy thing around money."
Right. And that is how my practical university started, because
All right,
I
talk a
wanted,
little about that. Yeah.
right. So it is literally just a space. I usually do a Zoom meeting. That's why I started it,
Okay.
where we talk about different things, and I invite people who would have done the thing themselves. So I personally may not have had all the experience that would be necessary to guide every single client. So I look for people who have done the thing. Like, I have one guy who, he's about 38 and he's now on his ninth property.
Okay.
He has been quite a regular presenter on my program, teaching people how to do what he does. So we get people who have done the thing or who are doing the thing to show people how they can do it. And for those who are interested, I would put them with him, and he will, like, literally mentor people to get them to do what he has done. So that's a practical university. We took a
Absolutely.
break and kind of revamping to look at what are the other ways that we can get it done. But it should be coming back on stream pretty soon. We had a workshop most recently around goal setting, which is important. You have to know what your goals are again before you can even start a plan. You have to know what you want and not what John Tom wants, but what Chris Daly
Exactly.
wants.
So, would you entertain clients also from the diaspora?
Oh, most definitely. There is a lot of options for investment locally because Jamaica is an emerging market. And what happens when markets are emerging is that opportunities are great. Now, you
Hmm.
won't probably hear that from a lot of Jamaicans. They would normally say, "Oh, things are bad and stuff." But unfortunately, when you're in a fish bowl, you can't see what the ocean is like. But
Right.
for people in the diaspora, investing in real estate locally is a big win. That is always a good thing to invest in. Even if you're not able to buy a home, you can
Mhm.
also invest in stocks that are invested in the real estate market. But I definitely encourage real estate investing for people who are outside of the country. You would
Right.
have noticed too that Jamaican stock exchange was the
Artists.
best performing stock exchange for about 2 or 3 years in a row. That says a lot about the possibilities for investment locally. And I
Hmm.
think the more diaspora people got involved is the better for the economy locally, not only for us local people, but for international people as well. There's a lot of good things happening in the market, and I would encourage people not to be distracted or to be put off by issues like what happened with bold. um,
Right.
Unfortunately, that's not something that is very common, and there are systems that are being put in place to ensure it doesn't happen, but we cannot not have those things happen. Those things are a part of the whole you know
Exactly.
gamble. It's just that you have to pay more attention to what you're doing and to be educated. But yes, it's a great time to invest in Jamaica.
All right. So what I'm hearing is that the government or this oversight um, institution is putting in place some other checks and balances to add some additional protection for the investor.
Well, there has been a lot of shaking up happening there. They have changed members in there, and they're literally looking at some new processes that they could employ to make sure the institution is operating effectively. But there are other corporations like the Jamaica Deposit Insurance. I think they give where a part of your savings are also insured. So if anything were to happen at the institution, you would be given back your money.
Okay.
That also exists. And but I believe it is something that I'm confident that the government will work on ensuring that the regulators have the power to do more and to do what they are in effect supposed to do.
Neat. This is a good way to end. But I believe in final thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience.
Well, final thoughts. Yes, certainly. Financial planning and wealth building. There's a thing that I think the black community could do a lot more with, which is intergenerational wealth,
Mhm.
ensuring that you are leaving your children with a platform that they can grow and become even better than we even ever did in our lifetime. And not only leaving them an inheritance per se, but you want to leave them with the education. So we want to be having healthy conversations around money.
Mhm.
People need to be learning about money, need to be speaking about money more positively. That's what I would say that I would encourage more people to do. Have healthy conversations around money, re-educate themselves.
Wonderful. Boy, Stacy Ann, that was fabulous. Thank you for so much for all the wisdom you're able to pack in the last half an hour with us.
Oh, thank you, Chris. It was my pleasure.
So to learn more about Stacy Ann, you can find her on her Instagram. It's called The Practical Advisor JA. Facebook is Stacy Ann Jarrett. To learn more about Jamaican diaspora, visit
And I could
Jamaican. Yeah.
I'm willing to share my mobile number. It's 876-818-7624.
Okay. Uh, and so to learn about Jamaican diaspora, visit JamaicanDiaspora.com. To visit Chris, to learn more about Chris Daly, visit ChrisDaly360.com. Thank you so much for spending time with us, Stacy Ann.
Okay, bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye.